Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to greet you from Brussels, from the Office of the European Data Protection Supervisor. I'm really honored by the possibility of addressing you at the beginning of the conference that you organized in Rome. Unfortunately, due to the other commitments here in Brussels, I will not be able to take part myself in the discussion, which I would really love to see and hear, since I have to say that the list of the speakers in the agenda of your conference is really incredible, and I find there both the legal specialists in the field of security and the data protection, but also the people who are involved in the activities of the Italian Garante in the past, including the former chief of that, Professor Pizzetti. At the same time, I'm honored. I have to say that I would love not to be here and not to address you today, because as you know, the person who actually decided that EDPS will take part in this event was Giovanni Buttarelli, the former European Data Protection Supervisor, who unfortunately died 2 months ago and was not able then to join you at the conference in Rome. I will try to exchange him as the person who is at the moment acting European Data Protection Supervisor, talking about those connections between the cybersecurity and the data protection and the kind of synergy that exists between both of these fields, the fields that sometimes are really very difficult to be exchanged one from another. Many people who work in the data protection field, these are the people who are at the same time specializing in cyber security, or they have a long experience in the cybersecurity field. That's all where most of us are coming from. These are the things that we were discussing before we started to deal with the typical data protection issues, because this is actually the basis for the whole discussion. We used to say as European Data Protection Supervisor's Office that there is no data protection without cybersecurity, but at the same time there is no cybersecurity without data protection. So the prevention of the security incidents actually starts with the construction of all the information systems and also all the organizations that are dealing with the data. So the principles of privacy by design and privacy by default are then in the core of the discussion about the shape of the information systems used in any organizations, in any institution. The data protection by design, the data protection by default are the starting points for the discussion about all principles of data protection and all principles of general data protection regulation. That also means that discussing about the data protection, we stop discuss about the law. We start to discuss about the practical organization of the processes, of the processing themselves, and the organization. We said in our strategy that we prepared with Giovanni 5 years ago that the data protection goes digital. It does not mean that the data goes digital, because data went digital 40 years ago. But it means that right now it's actually even more important from the practical point of view how the practical organization of the system is prepared and how it's architected by those who were preparing that. That means that the privacy-enhancing technologies like encryption, like differential privacy, different kinds of anonymization discussions, the pseudonymization, masking of the data, that they offer the great support not only to prevent the security incidents, different kinds of data breaches, but also to minimize and adverse the effects, even in the case the incidents like that happens. That also means that everybody who deals with the data protection have to monitor the technologies, and the monitoring like that plays a very important role in preventing and treating the security incidents. For these reasons, EDPS strongly recommends all the organizations to follow closely the technological monitoring activities. This is because the technical developments allows for more sophisticated and increasing amount of personal data collection and processing. Though advanced technologies increase the risk to the privacy and data protection, they may also integrate technological solutions for better transparency and better control over the systems. Information security risk management is the tool, or rather the collection of tools which are used at the same time as the privacy data protection management and privacy risk management. Data protection impact assessment, which is prepared by the institutions, is often done with the same tools and the same techniques that are used for the security risk management. But we have to understand and we have to remember that the points of views that are taken by the organization are different when you do the security risk assessment and when you do the data protection impact assessment. When you do the security risk assessment, you do it also always from the point of view of the organization. That's organization who tries to understand how to collect the information, how to process the information in the secure way, and not to be threatened by some external or internal factors that may destroy or at least question the integrity of information and the possibility to access it. While at the same time, when you do the data protection impact assessment, it's always done from the point of view of the person whose data is processed. So this is not the organization which is defending its own territory, but these are the rights of the persons, these are the rights of the data subjects that are in stake. Security incident management is regarded as one of the most important domains of information security that helps to improve the security, information security. It minimizes the impact for the organization. It also allows to plan the implementation of the necessary corrective and preventive measures for the elimination of the reappearance of the similar incidents. And it drives us to the point which is the most discussed and which will probably come back time after time in the discussion during your conference, which is the personal data breach handlings. Personal data breach assessment and also personal data breach reporting to the supervisors, but also reporting to the persons whose data might be the aim of any kind of attack or any kind of danger from outside. Personal data breach notification mechanism plays a very important role in the treatment of the security incidents with the personal data. It has been added as the requirement to the General Data Protection Regulation. You are fully aware of the fact that there is 72 hours deadline for the controllers to perform an assessment of the risks and to inform the supervisory authority on the incidents which happened. Often these 72 hours are recognized being very short time, because this is the time when you cannot, sometimes you cannot even assess what happened, not even thinking about implementing all the measures that would mitigate the risk of the incident. But it's extremely important to understand that this 72 hours is crucial from the supervisory point of view, because that's the possibility for the supervisor to get to know that the incident happened and to be able to follow it up. Of course, the organization usually does not know all the things that should be said, that should be sent and reported to the supervisory authority in the 72 hours. So they will have to supplement it with additional information in the future. But the only way for the supervisory authority to find out what kind of incident we are talking about, and also what might be the risks and what might be the follow-up of that, is to get to know about it as soon as possible. That also makes a big challenge for the supervisory authorities themselves, because they have to react very early on the danger that was reported by the controller. The Data Protection Authority may have already faced similar situation with another controller, so they have to compare with that. They may already have more information about the possible cause of the incidents from the other channels. That especially happens when you have the cybersecurity threats made by the any kind of external hackers. Then, based on data breach notification, Data Protection Authority may have an opportunity to issue in timely manner the public awareness announcement or even the guidance to the controllers how to deal with the subject. And then Data Protection Authority, with close cooperation with the cybersecurity authorities, can exchange the information that will lead to the resolution of the critical incidents. That's especially important at the time when the security authorities and the data protection authorities are following the interesting market of the software which is used for the security purposes or for surveillance purposes, being at the same time the way to defend the system, but also the way to attack them. And let me then recall one of the opinions of the European Data Protection Supervisor, which was a reaction of an activity of such a market, activity that actually started in Italy. I mean the opinion on the dissemination and the use of intrusive surveillance technologies from 2015, which was the reaction on so-called hacking team incident or hacking team hack. So the situation where the company which was preparing the surveillance software have been hacked itself, and it started to be transparent to the people that there are state authorities that are actually purchasing the software from the company, the software which can be of dual use, which starts as the software for the state authorities, but is later on reused for the other purposes. That's a similar situation to the situation that we have at the moment with Pegasus and the use of the techniques proposed by this Israeli company. We have to remember that the situations in which the authorities are using the market software solutions for their own work, for their own purposes, may create unnecessary and enormous threats for the future use of the security solutions. As I said, the dual use software is by definition something which will go to the market, which will be used not only by those who want to make our life secure in the state, but also by those who are going to use it for the criminal purposes. So those specialists who are dealing with the security protection, those who are dealing with the data protection, have at the same time ethical requirement to assess their own activity in the view to the future development of the technologies and future developments of the market. Are the things that we do in order to help ourselves to secure the state systems, are they at the same time the danger for the market itself? That would be the question that I would like to leave you with, remembering that the hacking team incident was one of the wake-up calls. The wake-up as the WannaCry incident was. WannaCry which shown that the kind of the cyber war is probably going on right now. If the WannaCry was created by the one of the East Asian states where the regime authorities wanted to react in the revenge to the activities which were done by the Americans, that shows that the cyber war goes to the stage in which we all are the aims, we all are the purposes of the attacks created by the state. So please be aware that the normal activities of the security teams, normal activities of those who are dealing with the data, with the personal data protection, may have an impact on the future development of the market. Thank you very much. Have a nice conference, and I hope that the cooperation between the security specialists and those who are dealing with the data protection will be developing as it is last year's. Thank you.